Recording. Good morning, class. Welcome to our last session of food science and nutrition, our last topic, and that is food commodities, where we are to be looking at food commodities in terms of how they have been processed. In the last class, we looked at food additives and food spoilage. We saw what things are added in food, why they are added. Like we talked about the prolonging of the shelf life, changing the physical appearance of food, and the flavor and taste of food. So generally, those are some of the reasons why we add, meaning we do food additives, and also there is fortification, which are also additives. So fortification generally helps in adding nutrients into the food. So today we are going to be looking at food commodities, and you shall realize that most of them will have food additives. So food commodities, what is a food commodity? A food commodity is anything that is added an ingredient that is used in making a dish or a meal. So when you talk of food commodities, you're talking about foodstuffs that we generally buy out there to go back home and make a food. We have food commodities in terms of what are they made of, or where do they come from? And in this case, we are talking about, we can actually put them into four, where we can talk of the green grocers, where we talk of fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh herbs and spices. And we have dry goods. In this case, we are looking at everything that we in our menu planning, like all the dry plus canned food, tinned food, and such. Yes. Then we go to and here meat and that is pork, beef, mutton, lamb, and veal. Veal ni mtoto wa ng'ombe, ndama. So veal is white meat, same as lamb. And of course, they coming from the meat, they are termed as white meat, while the rest are red. Then, of course, the meat products there, we have sausages, salamis, bone, ham, and all those things that we actually find processed in the supermarket, but they are actually meats. Even nyama bites, all of those are meat products. Then, of course, we have offal. Offal is what? The intestines, the inner organs of animals. So when you talk of offal, we are talking about the tongue, we are talking about the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the sweetbreads, the glands near the pancreas. Yeah, all those are what we call offal. Even the tripe, matumbo. You know matumbo, right? Yes. So matumbo also is part of offal. Then we have the oxtail. The oxtail generally will not be is not sold as meat, but that is how it finds itself under offal. Yet it is not the innards. Sometimes even the head is included under the offal. But in most cookery, we don't use the head unless it is the boar's head for Christmas. Yeah, a Christmas party. Okay, and it is actually roasted or grilled whole, and then with either an apple in the mouth or a tomato. Yeah, and presented as in its entirety, ikiwa mzima kaijakatwa, then it should be carved at the table. Okay, then we have fish and shellfish. Here we are looking at fish in either flat or round fish. Then, of course, out of the flat and the round fish, we have those that are fatty fish, oily fish. So, quite a number. Then we also have poultry. Under poultry, we have chicken, we have goose, we have ducks, swans, everything there. Those are found under poultry. Then we have game. And again, we are looking about all the wild animals that are hunted for food. like the antelopes, the buffaloes and such. Then, of course, we look at even game birds, birds that are hunted for their food, and of course, for food that is like the pheasants, the partridge, and the grouse, yeah, and even the quail. Remember the quail business? I hope you guys were big enough to have understood whatever was going on. There was this boom of the quail farming in Kenya, and people went out and bought, and then later on they had to like actually lure those birds into the forest because it was a big scam actually. They said that the egg, one little egg, would cost 75 shillings only to not actually pick. No one was buying the eggs, and it was I mean, such a loss for most people, for very many people who actually got into the business. So this small bird, it's like a chick of a chicken, but bigger. I mean, like in the like with 3 weeks, chick of a chicken. That's how big the quail is. Okay. Then we also have the woodcock, which is also a very small bird that is also eaten. It's actually roasted whole and eaten as it is. Okay. We also have now vegetables. Vegetables are also a very important commodity in cooking because they bring in color. They do not have calories, or rather lots of calories, and they are just awesome. I hope we are agreeing. Yeah. Then we have fruits and nuts. Fruits are generally uh, the edible fruit of a plant. Yes, and of course mostly eaten ripe, although some we eat raw like bananas. Okay. Then we have nuts. Nuts are generally fatty in nature. Of course, we have examples like macadamia, uh, groundnuts, or what we call peanuts. And also we have the Brazil nut, the pista nut, the almonds, the chestnut. All those are also nuts. Then we have sugar as a commodity, but because we use it a lot in so many things. Then we have the eggs also as a food commodity, also used extensively in cooking for so many uses. And then we have and oils, also very, very important. Okay, so now that is under where they come from or what they are made of. In this particular lesson, we at food commodities according to like maybe how they have been packed and processed. Have they gone through before we get them in the supermarket? Okay. Yes. And here we shall be looking at food commodities as canned food, tinned food, bottled food, then frozen and chilled food, and maybe parboiled food, and convenient cooked food. Okay. For example, you can go to the supermarket and find already, like there are these supermarkets that are actually selling food. Go in there and find you can eat chicken and pilau and any other thing, grilled ribs of goat, anything that you want, you'll find it there. Even sandwiches and what else? Meat pies, all things, even the very first hot dogs that they are selling nowadays. Yeah, all those are convenient cooked foods. Okay, yeah, and you may actually also find convenience foods as in like the ones that we actually come and finish at home, and those are things like spaghetti, because spaghetti you just refresh and it is ready within 5 minutes. Your spaghetti is ready for to be eaten. The same with noodles. Noodles you cook for 3 minutes in boiling water. Okay. Then you have parboiled rice. Also, parboiled rice you don't cook like normal rice. You just make sure your water is boiling, and then you put it in, just refresh it, and you serve it. Okay, so those are the kind of things that we are going to look at today, and we are looking at what are they, what things do they go through, and how do they affect their, their nutrients and such as that. Okay. So let me share my screen. There we have convenience foods. We have ready-made food, things like sandwiches and meals that you find in supermarkets. Like we said, if you are there's Naivas, even Tuskies, they cook. And I think Tuskies Buruburu cook, Naivas Town, into Naivas Kubwa, they also cook. And also Tuskies Gani, Tuskies Hakati, near the bus station, they also make meals. So such supermarkets. We even have Carrefour. You need to Carrefour ama Carrefour. Carrefour also have fresh cooked foods. So those are what we call ready-made foods or convenience cooked foods. Of course, these foods they have not been altered in any way. Only that they may need to be reheated so many times because, rather, they have to remain under in the bain marie. The bain marie is the system that keeps the food hot throughout the day. So if this food was cooked as early as 12 o'clock, and even at 5 o'clock the food is still there and cool and full and hot, it means that it has been subjected to heat all those hours, and some nutrients, especially vitamins, as what do you call them, water soluble vitamins, which were B and C, they will be denatured. Some proteins also will be denatured by the heat being applied for so long. So the food still tastes good and all, but you may not be getting all the goodness of that food, depending on how long the food has been there. So it will be easier, it will be more wise to maybe eat the food as early as 12:31 at most. But if you go buying the food later on, you might actually find that the food has been overheated. Then we look at canned food. And a canned food, we are looking at things like tomato paste, tuna sticks, corned beef, baked beans, syrups or the fruits in syrup, and fruits in syrup are things like pineapple rings that you find, apricots, and such other fruits that we find already in the supermarkets and in tins. We even have maize, corn, canned corn, isn't it? Yes. So all these foods, especially the canned and tinned foods, and even the bottled foods, there's a lot of things that happen with them. For example, there will be added a lot of the additives we talked about, mostly either to keep the physical characteristics, to maybe even. So you'll find that in the cases of fruits, something have to be added to keep the fruits looking firm throughout the time of storage. So you find that they will have added, others will have to be added some other preservatives, and then the food is packed in a vacuum, so there is no air inside that can at all. Okay, so they tend to have so many things destroyed, like vitamin A and D, and then B and C are touched. So most of the canned foods they look really tasty and all, but they may actually have a number of the vitamins destroyed in the making. Same with bottled drinks. Bottled foods, but mostly fruit juices, especially fruit. I'm talking of fruit juices. In this case, we are talking about actually squeezed juices. Once they 100% apple concentrate, 100% mango concentrate, so that means they have not added any else, then they bottle. Of course, these to bottle these, they have to add something we call pectin, which is an enzyme to out, and it is actually active. It is made in the lab. It can be added. Why are we adding pectin? So that the juice remains thick and the taste does not have it's chache, like, what do you say? It does not become stale. Okay, so the of course the pectin will do its job, but generally the fruit juice has all the goodness. Only that with the blending, vitamin B and C, because they are water soluble, they may be lost in the process of processing the fruits. Then you have parboiled foods. And the parboiled foods, these have just been boiled and dried and packed. So generally, in the cooking, vitamins, water-soluble vitamins may be lost, and then of course the fact that you're going to have to reboil them again, you are also continuing destroying the food. Frozen foods, frozen and chilled foods. Mostly here we are looking at either fresh foods, and we can also have fresh foods like meat and milk and what else? Vegetables. All these may be kept as frozen. They're actually what we call fresh foods, and we also call them contaminated food because mostly they have a lot of bacteria. So frozen foods. Why do we freeze food? And freezing is keeping food at temperatures between negative 12 to negative 18 degrees centigrade. So we talk from the highest to the lowest. So negative 18. Although negative is the lowest, you can the food can actually, I mean, the negative 12 is the lowest that temperature, the highest that the temperature can go. You can actually have it staying even at negative 25 degrees centigrade. The food is actually hard like a stone because the water in the food has been bound and become ice. So that is frozen food. We can have meat products like the sausages, the smokies, all those things can be frozen. You can freeze chicken, you can freeze duck, you can freeze a leg of lamb, top side of beef, anything. All the meats can be frozen. Then we also have yogurts. They can also be frozen. Even you're having the frozen yogurt in the market that is the hype of the day now. You also have ice cream, also made in the freezer with an ice cream machine having an inbuilt freezer that churns the cream as it is being cooled. Okay. Of course, in the with the freezing and with the freezing of food, maybe the nutrients may be lost if you keep on thawing and freezing the food again. But generally, if you thaw the food and cook it, only very few juices will run out of the food, and then you cook it. But if you freeze it again and then you thaw again and some more juices leave the food, then in the end, even the taste, the flavor of the food will be lost. But if you cook, you thawing is removing the mawe in the food. Okay, once you thaw, you cook the food and consume, then there'll be no a lot of loss of nutrients or flavor. But if you keep on freezing and thawing and then freezing the food again, then there'll be problems. And that is why it is advised that when you're freezing food, you unaikata into whatever sizes that you are going to be using it in, so that you don't freeze a whole carcass, alafu every time unataka kukata unaitoa inagongwa na baridi ya nje ama room temperature inaanza kutho, unakata yenye unakata unarudisha tena una freeze again, then the next time of course by the time you're done with the meat, it will not have the same flavor like it had in the beginning. So you cut into small pieces, into small sizable cuts, keep them as such, and then ukitoa moja unaipika, and that is forgotten. Chilled foods are the same things: meat products and yogurts and such. So chilled foods are the same as the meat products, the yogurt, and I mean, of course, ice cream is not part of that. But we also have milk and the meat products that we're talking about. So chilling generally means keeping the food between 0 and 3 degrees centigrade. So the food, the temperatures are very kidogo. So under chilled foods, the temperature, the food temperatures are, I mean, the temperature in the food makes it very hard for the bacteria to live. But of course, cannot be happened a very long time, because the bacteria will also try to adapt to the temperature. But then they will be able to act. So chilled food can stay for up to 5 days, while frozen food can live up to 3 months. Okay. Then you have dried foods, such as what we call dry goods. These are dried foods, like what do we call them? Royco cubes. You know Royco cubes? Ama Maggi. Do you call them Maggi and Royco cubes? Those are things that actually it's a stock that has been imetolewa maji ikafika hiyo kiwango ikapresiwa ikakuwa a very small thing, and then you put it in your food and it gives all that flavor. Okay, we also have packet soups like Nor cubes. Also, we also have Nor cubes. Yeah, Nor cubes, Royco cubes and Maggi cubes. So those are what we call stock cubes. Okay, so we have packet soups and sauces. Then we have cake mixes. Like you can actually go and buy a packet of cake mix. Alafu unapewa instructions, go beat your eggs and mix in there all the things inside there into the beaten eggs, koroga vizuri, put the tin and bake. Okay, so we also have instant desserts like jellies, jelly Christ. You actually just mix with warm water and you have a dessert. Okay, so those are what we call the dried foods. Then of course we have the dry goods. The dry goods. Here we have all the dries that you know: flour, sugar, salt, and cereals and pulses. Cereals and pulses. Okay, in their either raw or processed. Okay, so those are the other kind of linears that you may find. Okay, so now we have the ready-made items. We have the canned food, the bottled food, we have the boiled food, we have the frozen foods, we also have the chilled foods, we also have the dry goods, the salt, the sugar, the cereals and pulses, either or processed. Yeah. Then we have dried foods, and here the dried foods we are talking about those zimetolewa maji, even inaitwaje, powder milk. Powder milk is part of the dried foods, things that they are just they are ready to be used. Okay, so there we are. So then of course we look at the things, the effects of the processing of this food. So when you process like food, canned food, we we can see that not fresh. It's the goodness of a pineapple. When you get it from the market and then you can peel it and use it, it's not the same as when you are using a pineapple from the tin. It even when they have added whatever they have added, you still feel that the pineapple is not that fresh. Okay. Yes, there may be a little recipe modification when you're packing food. So that means that food additives will have to be added. The food may have to be either cooked longer or not cooked thoroughly, depending, especially for sauces. Sauces have to be cooked completely, and that means that if you don't cook completely, the moment you go and remove that sauce from the bottle and to heat up, if it had not been cooked completely, the flour that you had used to thicken, kama iko imedhicken, it will continue thickening and it will affect the quality of your sauce. So some need to be thoroughly cooked, others need to not be thoroughly cooked, so that when you go finishing, they will not dry up, like meats, pork, and such. So they need a little more modification, meaning that you not maybe like finish the cooking, so that when you're heating, the cooking process is finished and the food does not lose a lot of moisture. Okay. Then you may find that there'll be loss of vitamins. Okay. We can also not be able to control the ingredients that are used in the product, because sometimes some of these products are used to actually preserve the food. So some of them tend to be either too salty or too sugary or too fatty, especially the tuna. Tuna is packed in oil. Okay, tuna is packed in oil. You can imagine the amount of oil that is there if you want to make a tuna salad. So either you have to use paper towels to maybe remove the your mafuta kabla utumie hiyo tuna. Otherwise, your salad is going to become very oily. Okay. Yes, the flavor of the convenient foods or the packed food is not as good as fresh food. So that is that. Certain vitamins and minerals may be lacking due to the preservation processes that are there. There'll be a lot of food additives, especially in dried foods. And of course, some food additives may also denature the nutrients that we are looking in the food. Okay. And we say they're also very usually high in fat, salt, and sugar, which are will also bring health problems depending on who is eating the food. So people with diabetes, people with hypertension, should even cancer, and even HIV and AIDS should keep off such food. Okay. Then they can also be expensive to produce and advertise. Okay. In some cases, the food is portioned, like they're talking of, the portion size is often smaller than expected. So you may actually find that the food will feel like maybe you did not get the kind of amount that you wanted, because maybe it has been dried and of course it, shrunk, or maybe the portion has just been made smaller. Okay, they may have less meat, fish, or cheese than you would include in homemade foods. Well, that is true also. Some, of course, they may have to add some things, maybe to buy the food and such. For example, in sausages and such, if you go and look at the packet of sausage and look at the ingredients, you will find that even there's some starch they have added in the meat that they use to make those sausages. But when you make your mtura back at home, how many of you know mtura? How many of you know mtura?
Karibu wote.
Sorry?
Mimi.
Unajua mtura. Yes, we have the stuffed intestines, where you actually put meat and blood sometimes. Yeah, it has all the goodness of nyama, isn't it? But if you look at the sausage, it has, I mean, like imekwa mpaka starch, so that we have more bulk. So you're not getting the meaty part peke yake. kuna mpaka starch. If you don't like starch, maybe you're feeling you want to lose weight, then sausages should not be your thing. Okay, so that is generally it. And unless maybe we have any issues, so we need to know to understand, or rather conclude and say that when we are looking at these food quantities, it is very, very important that we go for fresh products, because when we use fresh products, then we do not lose any nutrients. We also don't lose any flavor, and the food is fresh. It will taste nice, isn't it? Yes. So if you can, if you can, go for fresh products instead of all these products talked about here, the ready-made food in the supermarket that maybe has been hitting the whole day, canned food that has been, preserved with so many things and additives have been added. The same with bottled things. Of course, they have been added some and enzymes like pectin, and even some preservative to make sure that the juice stays longer. So you need to make sure you go for maybe your pineapple, peel it, and squeeze your juice from there, and enjoy it and finish, instead of going and buying that pineapple juice from the supermarket, and it actually has chemicals that may have been added as additives. Okay. We also we talked of frozen food. We said in frozen food, the thawing process is what actually destroys the flavor of the food, because when you keep on thawing the food, the water will lose when the water in the nyama, ama the moisture in the nyama has to lazima ilose tena ikue water tena instead of ice, and when it is doing that, ina break the cells, and then the water in the cell breaks out, and of course the water in the cell is what has the juices, the very flavored juices of the meat, maybe, so or fish. So when you thaw so many times the same amount, the same piece of meat, the ukikula next time haitakuwa na flavor. So over frozen foods tend to lose flavor. They may not taste so nice. Okay, and of course the juices also have the proteins, so the proteins are also getting lost. Chilled food may not have a very big effect, because after all, you're going to eat them after a very few days. The only problem could be maybe having burns in the fridge, like some actually tend to soften. If you put things like spinach in the fridge, what happens to them? They wilt, isn't it? If you put peas in the freezer, they become so soft that you don't even need to like boil them the way we boil them before cooking, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so that is it. Unless maybe we have any issues we want to discuss. Any issues? Any issues? No issues. Okay, now I want you to tell me what out of all these products that we have talked about, which ones have you ever in the in a supermarket? Is it a ready-made meal? Is it some canned food and such? Which one? I'll start with Laura. Lorato, have you bought anything, any either canned food or ready-made food in the supermarket, frozen? Lorato, can you hear me? Godfrey? Godfrey?
Yes.
What have you bought in the supermarket out of all those products? Have you maybe bought a ready-made food in the supermarket to eat as it is, or have you gone for a packed snack in the supermarket, or even frozen food?
No.
Okay, have you ever eaten things like popcorns already popped in the supermarket?
Yes.
Crisps?
Yes.
But why are you saying you have not bought? Huh?
Nilipewa.
Yeah?
Nilipewa na msee mwingine hapo.
We wacha zako. Those are the kind of things we are talking about. So what is your experience with these items, like the crisps? Are they, like, do they have the right amount of salt? Are they too salty?
Too salty.
Yeah, mostly too salty. For frozen, even the processed meats. The processed meats, that is the meat products like sausages, such. If you will realize that they also have a lot of salt, isn't it? Even bacon has a lot of salt, sindio?
Yes.
And of course, the salt is coming from the salt they have added to kill bacteria, or to actually prolong the life, and also the chemicals for preservation of the food, like the nitrates. Okay, a nitrate is a salt anyway. Take salt. Okay. Yes. So those are some of that is why we are saying that they'll have affected the food in one way or the other. Any other? I would also ask, out of like, if you are to advise someone, maybe especially someone who with maybe health issues, yeah, they are hypertensive or they're diabetic, how would you advise them to buy their food commodities? Lorato? If you're going back, umeenda ushago and you're talking to your shosho, utamwambia anunue ni chakula gani? Like, how would you advise her to buy her food commodities?
Organic vitu za soko fresh, not
Yes.
canned.
She can go for organic grown food, and
Yes.
also fresh, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, instead of going for maybe already processed food, which already has either too much sugar or too much salt and oil, isn't it? Yes, we don't want them to actually either develop diabetes or actually, have bad effects because maybe already diabetic or something, isn't it? Yes. So generally, we need to also observe even ourselves. If you really can, you keep away from the processed foods, because when you keep on eating them, then we will have a lot of issues with the food. Okay. Yeah, and we don't want to find ourselves maybe having maybe those lifestyle diseases when we are still very young, and maybe you'd expect that maybe a lifestyle disease will come at the age of 50, and then when you are 28 or even 30, you already have something like diabetes, maybe hypertension, and it's because of the things that you're eating. Because if you eat those foods every day, and everything that you eat is this because maybe unaona ni convenient, especially when you talk of convenience foods, they tend to be like that, something you just throw in the oven and unatoa because already imetengenezwa, imepakiwa, so wewe kazi yako tu ni kumaliza kupika. So then the things that they have added inside there, yeah, and you're eating that every day, of course, you'll find that you'll be affected. Within a few months, you will already start feeling the after effects of using this. So unless you do that, you eat them and do a lot of exercise and a lot of detoxification, then you just go and buy fresh foods. Because if you cannot be able to do a lot of exercise and detoxify, then just go for fresh foods. Okay. Yes. And I think we can actually finish there unless we have any questions.
Question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Godfrey?
No question.
Oh, Mr. No question. Okay, I thought the question. All right.